There's a perception that slavery is something that's just in the past, part of our history books. But the reality is there's more people enslaved today than any other time in history. Over 30 million people. And I think that in the West in particular, it's not really understood or acknowledged. In the summer of 2015, we fielded a call at my office from a reporter at the Associated Press, which wasn't unusual because we provide images to the media all the time. But this story, we knew immediately this story was different. Martha Mendoza, the reporter, and a team were working on a months-long investigation to expose the extent of the exploitation of human beings in Southeast Asia in the fishing industry. Men are tricked into working on these boats and they're essentially enslaved for decades. They think they're going to get paid, but they're kept at sea, captive on these boats. And the times that they do go to shore, they're kept in cages. Commercial boats would rendezvous with slave boats and exchange fish that would eventually end up in the United States supermarkets. This exploitation of human beings, everybody was aware, but they couldn't catch them in the act. These commercial boats were very crafty and knew that they had to leave the territorial waters where they were allowed to operate, and they would turn off all their tracking devices, so they were essentially invisible in the middle of the ocean. Martha and her team had a body of evidence based on ground information, people that had actually escaped from slavery. She needed a smoking gun. They needed something tangible that they could look at that was unrefutable, that would create action.
We own and operate satellites and ground infrastructure. An entire system that allows us to see any spot on the surface of the Earth against very short timelines, at very high resolution.
We knew we needed the best ammo that we could put against this problem, and that required the best satellite we had.
We actually put Worldview 3 on the task because it required 30-centimeter imagery to actually meet the needs of the mission.
Martha and her team were doing a good job of narrowing the search space that we should be looking at, given that they were hiding in the middle of the ocean. And so we were tipped off in terms of the direction that they were going in, but we still had a really wide area to look at. So what we had to do was guess. When the satellite came overhead, that initial review, we came back with nothing, and it was empty ocean. So we tried again. The second collection came in, our analyst looked at it. We knew we had the shot. The image was stunning in its clarity. Even we were shocked. Based on photos that had been taken when the commercial boat was in the harbor, we could measure the length and the width of the boat, the height of the mast. We could see details in this image that were so strong. For example, the cargo holds were open on the commercial boat, which was a signal that they were offloading fish from the slave boats into the commercial boat. We could see the ropes that were tying these two together. We didn't expect to see that. It was unbelievable. We knew we were delivering something that was going to make a difference in this investigation. And the Associated Press brought it to the authorities that agreed to cooperate based on the visual evidence that we had provided. And the Indonesian government used their navy to go out and rescue these men off the boats and arrest the captains that were responsible. Because of this team's investigation, there was the immediate release of the men that were on those boats. But almost more importantly, the level of awareness that went up around that rescue actually cascaded into more rescues of more men. And now we know, just based on her reporting and her team, that over 2,000 men have been returned to their homes. Many of the men were gone for decades, had not seen their mothers, had not seen their sisters or brothers.
This is one of the rare times, maybe the only time, where we've actually been able to put a face to the lives we've saved. Martha sent me a note recently, and in that note, she shared about one of her colleagues going back to visit with some of the men who were rescued. She told them the story. And one of them said, "You mean a satellite in the sky looking for us?"
What I hear in that question, looking for us, is that he doesn't even know that he's valued as a human being. And so for me, the reward is about, obviously, him being reunited with his family, but knowing that in some indirect way that we communicated to him that his life had value.
That's what this is all about. That's the golden image. At its core, that is why we do what we do.